Rahubat, Ronani Kawun, Nima Atafi Renantat. I am a student teacher of the master teacher, Paa Nabab Yaanuwn. Today, we're going to get into a reading called 9 Reasons to be Nuwaubian or Sabaean. But first, I'm going to do an affirmation, which is called Paa Takyud. Anuki Jawef Pa Ashuk and Pa Palut. Wu Kale Ashuk Kawun Jawef Naya. Anuki Kasam Un Im Pa Palut. Wu Pa Palut Kawun Kasam Un Im Naya. Anuki Wahu Amah Pa Palut. Wu Pa Palut Kawun Wahu Amah Naya. Nakuk Kador Najur Amah Kasam Un Im Pa Palut. Wu Habub Amah Mushkas Un. Nakuk Kador Kawan Kale Pafaf Nakuk Dayor Jawif Pa Paut. Amah Wasa Amah Dayani Kawun Lake Bakoy Jawif Pa Paut. Anuki Yababi Nafashni. Pa Paut Kawun Anuki. Pa Paut Kador Nakuk Kador. Pa Paut Amul Nakuk Amul. I am in the divine love of the all-expanding, and all divine love is in me. I am a part of the all-expanding, and the all-expanding is a part of me. I am one as the all-expanding, and the all-expanding is one as me. I can succeed as a part of the all-expanding, and fail as an individual person. I can be all that I want in the all-expanding, as long as my want is to stay in the all-expanding. I am never by myself. The all-expanding is, I am. The all-expanding can, I can. The all-expanding does, I do. That's an affirmation that we say in our tribe, Wusabat. Okay. So, this is going to be a 3-part video, okay? And what I'm going to be reading from this book called The Actual Facts, number 109, Genetic Kiss, okay? I will be reading the introduction first. Right? So, I will read the introduction, and as we go into the introduction, I will, touch on certain things that might be happening in our current time. Okay? All right. Introduction to all. 9 reasons to be Sabaean and not them. Number 1, the inevitability of fact. Everyone seeks facts, truth, confirmation. No one can really endure on blind faith or hopes. The stress and cares of life without facts about something, like not knowing the exact phone number of an important call, or the address of a place you must be at a certain time. To not have facts, to feel pain, fear, danger, but not know why or where to go to have it taken care of. That's blind faith. Not a life to death that cannot ultimately be proven. Atheists cannot prove there is no God or gods, just as religious people cannot prove that their God or gods exist by faith and belief only. And so they create other titles such as pantheists or pragmatists. Facts are unavoidable, even if even if we only choose to have facts in our own existence. What is to be decided is, what evidence do we think is pertinent? How are we going to interpret the evidence? And who finds it? And will they really accept the facts over their blind faith? Ask yourself, who is your mother? She comes to mind because you know who she is. Now, who is your creator? God, Lord, Allah, Rab, Jah, Yahweh. You don't get an exact answer. One is fact and the other is fiction until confirmed. Right? So, this is no disrespect to any religion in the world or within our United States of America. But this paragraph is speaking on having pure, actual facts, truths, right? And you can't go blindly into something without knowing what you're getting into. And a lot of people go through their life like that, you know. So it's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is sometimes. And it's up to the individual to determine in their life everything that they know to be true. It might become untrue because there is no hard evidence to prove what they believe in or what's been told to them if they don't do their own due diligence in researching. So that goes with anything, you know. And you experience certain things in your life, in your everyday life, about, facts, truths. A lot of people, they get in trouble because they don't know the facts. Also, you want to look at facts, truth, they both have their own meaning, but it still comes down to hardcore, proven evidence. And unfortunately, within our society, there's a lot of untruths that haven't been proven to be true. So, that deals with the court systems, that deals with people that might have a 9-to-5. And now people are at home because, it's COVID-19 or coronavirus or the Omicron variant going on. So, it deals with a lot of things. Some people believe that the earth is flat. You know what I'm saying? But, I don't want to get into that. But, so, you got one group believes that the earth is flat, and you got one group that's saying, no, there's proven evidence that the earth is not flat. It is a sphere. It's not a perfect sphere, but it's a sphere, right? You have people that believe that climate change doesn't exist and that everything is fine and that the planet would keep on going even though things are being done to the planet to cause certain reactions. And then you have those that are like, yeah, climate change does exist. Look what's going on. There are more fires, hurricanes, tornadoes within 1 year. Then on the other side of the planet, there's hurricanes, tornadoes, and tsunamis going on. Then on top of that, you have the Omicron variants and the coronavirus variants and all these variants and things of that nature. And then the animals are acting out of character. You know, when I say out of character, animals are being more, I mean, if you do your research, if you really go online and you look, you'll see, like, when the whole coronavirus situation happened, there were videos on YouTube where the animals started to come out in the streets in certain countries, right? Because there were no people walking around, because a lot of the people were confined to their homes and they couldn't really go to their normal places. There was only certain places they can go to. You know, if they needed food, they could go to the grocery store. You know, if they got sick, they could go to the hospital. But other places were shut down, and that was basically worldwide. And there were certain places that people were taking videos where all the animals that you didn't see in the streets were all coming out, just mangling in the street like it was the forest, right? So there's different little things that nature and the universe or multiverse gives clues, like, yeah, this is what's happening. It's because of you all that this is happening, right? So that's going back to, like, climate change. A lot of people don't believe in climate change, but it's very evident if you know, some people on a different frequency in their life. So some people are a lower frequency, and some people are on a higher frequency. And when I say higher frequency, there are people that have elevated their being, and they're seeing what's happening, and they're like, yeah, we need to stop this before we don't have a planet, right? And then you have those people that are vibrating on a lower frequency that they don't see it. They don't see it at all. So they're not elevating their being. When I say their being, the person or the spirit within them, the true them, they're not elevating, you know. And some people don't have a soul, so they're not going to see they're not going to see the same thing that other people see that have elevated to a higher consciousness. They're not going to see that. And so there's different people on different levels, right? Okay, so now going back to this. So now, of the 9 reasons to be Sabaean or Nawabian and not them, there's a number 2. So I'm going to read number 2. The use and misuse of science. There are no limitations in finding facts when you compare religion to the scientific method of prove it. The process defined by that which is measurable and repeatable. It speaks to issues in their ultimate origin, as well as people, places, and things. Where did they come from? How long ago? How did they come about? Genetics, not control of others' moralities or lives for such answers. Science depends on what was recorded and found, read and confirmed to be the way people really live. Facts, not fiction. Whereas religious beliefs can't be found or confirmed, just what men wrote down and claim as coming from an unproven spirit God. They make the claims that their God, Lord, knows about the smallest details of our lives, but doesn't and will not, nor has stopped all the sicknesses, evils, wars, killings, destruction of nature, and even their own human bodies, minds, and birth defects. He doesn't help or prevent. Number 3, the problems, creation versus evolution. The first fact is yourself, your parents, their parents, and so on. you reading this you reading this confirms existence. So he's saying that it's just me reading this confirms my existence. It confirms my mother, confirms my existence. Her mother, which would be my grandmother, confirms my existence, because without them giving birth to me, right? Even though my grandmother didn't give birth, she gave birth to my mother. So my mother in turn gave birth to me. And my grandmother's mother would have been my great grandmother, gave birth to her. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, you cannot say that you don't know if you exist. Some people say, well, are we living in a matrix? You know, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but it's like just trying to come back down to reality is the fact that if your mother exists and your mother's mother exists and her mother exists, then, you know, we know we're real, right? Because you can be real living in a certain type of system. And within the United States of America, we're living in a certain type of system, right? In India, they're living in a certain type of system. In Africa, they're living in a certain type of system. And in Africa, there are different tribes that have their own types of systems. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like there's a system everywhere. You cannot exist and not have some type of a system to run your community. Some systems are better than others. You understand? So it's just the way it is, right? So next step back is, where did you come from? Your parents, and who came from theirs. That's how it's done with plants, animals, humans, and the universe. Nothing new. Even if a test tube is used, it still has the same root seeds for production. Where did it start? Why must it have to have one? Only to support your belief in a spook god, one point in time saying be or let there be this person. Most overlook in their own religious books, they say this god used dust or mud or clay of the ground, which always has some form of life in it, be it dry sand or moist soil. Life existed in it when their god used it to shape, fashion, mold, make, and form and create the first flesh and blood being. So the seed of life was there, or with that God who they claim is life. And if you live for more than one moment, you live or are living, and that's time. Here's my question to you all. Did Adam have a navel? Did Adam have a navel? And another question is, why aren't men missing ribs, missing a rib to create a woman? Because that's what's stated, right? So that's the question. And, you know, I'm accepting of answers. There's no disrespect here. Like I said again, no disrespect. So there's no need for anybody to come disrespectful. This is just a honest question. Did Adam have a navel? And why aren't all the men missing ribs? And I will accept, I'll accept the answer to my question. And it's vice versa, because this is all about learning from each other. And this is not about disrespecting anybody. This is simply about looking at facts. If you're not if you're not accepting of the information, that's no problem either. If you are, that's no problem either. It's great. you know. So I will continue on. So then, when did you start living to be alive? When did you start living to be alive? That's a good question to ask yourself. They even give their God a gender. He and a male child, a son, and even a male ghost or spirit called angels. A gender means a sex. A male gender means a seed or XY chromosomes and sperm, DNA, RNA. This is all they claim. This is the problem with the instant creation from nothing. It can't be confirmed, nor does their own holy books make that claim as for reproduction. This is proven as for evolving or evolution. This is proven. Not how many have proclaimed, but how it is you evolve from your parents, who evolve from their parents. And each time there is change. Evolution. This evolutionary explanation of life by birth does not make God or gods unnecessary. Anyone can see life develops gradually, changing from person to person, and over a great period of time, much change. Of course, there is intelligence involved by one design, who alone from nothing provided that one ingredient for life and set into motion by saying to it, exist. Think of who was talking, and why speak at all if there were no other beings to listen. Older, wiser living beings birthed, created, grew, made, and fashioned our level of life, just as if a pure African moves to Europe. It's known now his genes are older, stronger. That's a fact confirmed. If he is the very first and he takes a European or Caucasian female and impregnates her with his sperm, the child born would be a new creation, a first. His father will be his creator. His mother will also be his creator. And the planet Earth in which he planted his seed to mix with her ovum. Now, the other way around, if an African woman who holds the mitochondrial DNA, a genealogy is born. Okay? The not mitochondria, mitochondrial, mitochondrial, DRIAL, DNA. A genealogy is born. You guys can research that and look it up. A line from her onward, which he means from the mother who holds the mitochondrial DNA genealogy. And back in ancient times, and in some cultures, they believed that it was the boy that carried on the family genes, right? He does have mitochondrial DNA. He has his mother's mitochondrial DNA, but he cannot pass it on to his daughters and sons. It stops with him. He has a sister. The sister will be able to pass on her genes through her children. And the children, when I say children, she has a boy, then the boy, it will stop with the boy. But if she has a daughter, it will continue on. So every time a woman has a daughter, the genealogy of that bloodline is carried onward. But when a woman has a male, the genealogy of that bloodline stops. That's just what it is. It's been proven. Now, a lot of people that will be watching this, males and some females will be like, oh no, that's not true. That's not accurate. That's not factual, blah, blah, blah. But it's true. It is true. Okay? Scientists have proven it. Geneticists have proven it. Okay? So, you just check it out for yourself. You don't believe what I'm saying, then check it out. And if you still don't believe, then that's just up to you, because it's not about belief. It's about, if you don't believe what you're reading, then that's you. That's your universe. You are the dot in your universe. So nobody can convince you otherwise. You either accept it or you don't accept it. Okay? So, moving on. A line from her onward, the mother, while the seed of the African male ended at conception because he does not have mitochondrial DNA like the woman. Yet, in both cases, it was a new creation created from them. Then, from the African woman's seed, because of the mitochondrial DNA, the gene proven to be transferred from the mother only. This is evolution genetically. If beings came to us from older worlds with stronger genes and bred us, they would be our gods. And if it was a female, she would be our mother and goddess. That is how it's done. The devil. Number 4, the devil and evil. Who has the most to profit from a good God created us in all things more than a devil or devils? It gives him a purpose. It brings him into existence as well. But why would you need a good if there was no evil? Why need a God if there was no devil? So who do you think created religion and its religious laws of do and don't do? Who do you think created it? Not the creation, and certainly not the creators, or the one who has the most to gain by weaker beings violating these do and do not do laws. And of course, that created a place for enforcers of these laws, and then subjects, and of course, records of what to do and not to do, written by those enforcers. You get your so-called holy books by whatever title to enforce their laws and stay in control. Real do and do nots is only what is harmful in any way to anything, your health, life, or nature, which you need. Don't hurt yourself or others. That's law. 5. The Bible, Quran, and God's story. On first reading the opening words of the Old Testament in Hebrew as Torah, or English, which birthed the New Testament, many other agnostic texts of Nag Hammadi scrolls found in Egypt in 1945 AD, and the Qumran scrolls, called Dead Sea Scrolls, found outside of Jerusalem in 1947 AD, which birthed the Quran of the Muslims Islamic religion in 610 to 632 AD in Arabia, and their religions for each base their belief in the divine on this first book of Genesis, in which they call the Bible. This first chapter seems to assume the existence of an Elohim, or YHWH, or God, Dios, or Allah, Rab. Genesis, however, was really written long after what the first verse claims at a point of time in history. They claim a Hebrew man of the Levite tribe of Israel wrote it, which has not been proven to date. However, the very words "in the beginning" is not saying "in the beginning, I as the first and only God." It's about a God, not by this God. Just as the first verse of St. John in the New Testament stating, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. It does not say, I am the God, the first and only God, and the Word was with me. Again, it's not by a God. The Quran read, in the name of your Rab who created. It doesn't say, read in the name of me, Allah, who created. It's about Allah, not by Allah. It was written by mortal men, human beings, about a God, not by the God about human beings. Just as many children world over now believe that Santa Claus was a real person, they call him Kris Kringle. Note, Kris, Chris, equals Christ. Saint Nick equals saint, holy. They perceive him dressing. They perceive how he dressed, how he looks, how he has helpers, his words, ho, ho, ho. How he flies through the skies with flying reindeer, how he gives gifts. And that makes people happy. So a fictitious being that was created in somebody's mind, or not, is like there's a culture, right? And I think that Kris, if I'm not mistaken, you guys can do the research, right? Whatever you guys find, you can share it with us. That concept came from Europe, okay? And they brought it to America. And it's like you have parents who work so hard, right, to make money. And then when it comes around the holidays, they give the credit to some big fat man coming down a chimney, which doesn't make sense. And then they tell the child to never lie. That doesn't make sense. How are you going to tell children to never lie, but you're lying to them that this fictitious person is coming down a chimney and he's fat. He's got a huge rotund belly, wearing a velvet suit, black boots, and black belt, right? And got a huge, and he has a huge bag. And he's going to come down a chimney that's probably about this wide. And from through the chimney and through the fireplace. And the parents are like, Timmy, Santa Claus, you better be nice. If you're naughty, Santa Claus is not going to bring you what you want. If you're nice, Santa Claus is going to bring you what you want. He's going to come down. And then the children, and then it's like the innocent children, they believe this. They believe what their parents are saying. And because they talk about this in schools and public schools and things of that nature. And then the little ones, they want to bake cookies for this fictitious Santa Claus. And it's like, and the parents are like, okay, let's bake cookies, and it's kind of like, what? But you tell your child not to lie, but you're lying to your child. You're lying to your child. You're lying to your child that some fictitious being is coming down a chimney that's rotund. There's no way a fictitious being can come down a chimney with a huge bag of toys. And the reindeer, the reindeer with the sled is parked on the roof of the house. Can you imagine the roof of the house? The roof is very steep, triangle. It's like, it just don't make sense. Come on, doesn't make sense. Like, really? But you're lying to your child. You're gonna tell the child not to lie, but you as the adult is lying. So now all the time the child is thinking that Santa Claus is bringing them an Xbox or whatever they want, And the reality of it is, it's the parents or the parent that's busting their butt, working very hard to buy their children something for Christmas. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with getting your children something for the holidays. You know what I'm saying? And I try, we don't celebrate Christmas. We have something called Children's Day. It's called Children's Day. And children, right, all the way up to, I think 18, 19, get a gift from 0 all the way up, right, to 19. And because it's really about the children. And, you know, you have the Christians that say, oh, it's to celebrate Jesus Christ's birth. But Jesus wasn't born on December the 25th. Look it up. I mean, really do your research. Look it up. He was not born on December the 25th. So if it's about Christ, then you should celebrate it on the time that he was born. Okay? It's Easter Bunny. Well, we know Easter Bunny has to do with the goddess Astara. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. Okay? These are other people's gods, right? But Christians, they celebrate it. They say that, voodoo and witchcraft, Santeria, and all that stuff is bad, and whatever the case may be. But then they turn around. A lot of stuff that they do, it has, like, if you're celebrating the Easter Bunny, that's a pagan religion. It's a non-Christian religion. Now, hey, you know, but I'm not gonna get into that. Let me finish reading. That's like a whole different video. Okay, so how he lives way up in the north at the North Pole. People spend their hard-earned money on gifts. Now, is not all of this the exact same story created in the Bible or Quran about the God, angels, and reward? He knows if you are asleep. He knows if you are awake. He knows if you are good or bad. Is not that the same? And people all over wait for Christmas. Who was born on Christmas? They have music, feasts, rituals, symbols. It's not real. It's all fake. He really doesn't and never existed, a make-believe. That is the very same thing with the Bible stories of a God, the places, the miraculous events, signs, symbols. You think about it, now Santa Claus, is supposed to be good like God. But then they created stories of Frankenstein, a man-made man, a man created by a man, made of human parts, came alive and became evil. He killed. Don't forget when I said the name. You saw his image as if he is real. And so many others I could say, but you think them and see how it works and worked. It's all faith and belief in what another person created in their mind, like the best fiction stories. There is no proof of the stories there is no proof of the stories religious people devoted their lives to. None. Yes, they found places mentioned in the Bible, but you can find the North Pole or Transylvania. Both are on the map. That does not mean Santa Claus and Frankenstein are or were real. And it doesn't matter how many people claim they believe in Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster until they uncover the facts, proof they do not exist. And yet in Egypt, facts, records, bones, tombs, dates, times, places, and real people confirm. They have not done that with the monotheistic religion of Mosesism, Jesusism, or Mohammedism, which all three should be called Abrahamism, for each claim him in their Quran, chapter 16, verse 123, as their founder, and he has not been proven to ever have existed. No facts, confirmations, findings, none, not one of him. None of them have proven their creation story, their angel story, their God story, their life after death story, their heaven story. But their hell story is true. We have it right here on earth with all the pain and suffering around us. Fiction has become real to those that need anything to believe in. But facts will always come out of the lies or fabrications, religion. Number 6, the name of a religion or God doesn't make it real. People who claim names today like Jews, Christians, Muslims, or Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and their many subdivisions, sects, and denominations. The fact that there are millions who believe the fictions of their holy books, the fictions of their beings or people in their own stories. The fact that there is a place called Jerusalem or the Vatican in Rome or Mecca in Arabia, none of the above mentions or confirms the facts needed. It's only belief and are not argument of their God's existence. A good God, each claim is partial to their rituals and them as the chosen ones, and that their God would not protect other children of the world unless they all convert to their races, religions, beliefs. That he is responsible for all being born amongst the Hindu Indian subrace, or Buddhism, or Buddhist Asian subrace, or the Yorubians African race. Is not he the giver of all life to all people, regardless of race, according to their religious beliefs? Are we to believe that when each time these so-called Hebrew race or Jews or Israelites, the subrace of Caucasian people, could not live safe, find food where he sent them, the land of Canaan, or fear death, their God, Yahweh, Elohim, sent them to Africa, to the Africans? Egypt is in Africa and was ruled originally by Africans, who many Caucasians have taught are cursed to be black, nappy hair, big lips, large genitals, and big butts. All this they claim, while their God sends them to safety amongst Africans repeatedly. Seven, the personification of God, angels, spirits. Many religions claim to worship their God in spirit, Torah, Genesis chapter 1, verse 2, Mosesism, John chapter 4, verse 24, Jesusism, or as an unseen spirit, Quran chapter 2, verse 3, John chapter 1, verse 18, that God is not a human being, Numbers chapter 23, verse 19, Hosea chapter 11, verse 9, that angels have wings, Isaiah chapter 6, verse 2, Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 11, and are also Holy Ghosts, Luke chapter 1, verse 35, Quran chapter 16, verse 102 to 103, or spirits, yet human beings, First Timothy chapter 2, verse 5, Genesis chapter 3, verse 22, Exodus chapter 7, verse 1. You can find this, research your chapters in your Bible. Because we as human beings know we have all kinds of weaknesses and needs from outside sources. We need to clean ourselves inside as well as outside. We start off as babies, weak and dependent. And as we age, we lose our sight, our hearing, and receive all kinds of sicknesses. And we need to eat. We need to drink water. We have other needs. We go crazy or lose our minds. We are selfish. So how can their God be a human being and still be all-powerful? So they use the Spirit of God comes into a body of flesh as the Word made flesh. Check out chapter St. John's chapter 1 verse 14. Used by the Christians in the New Testament, or the angel comes as the complete well-made man in the Muslims' Quran, chapter 19 verse 17. Psalms chapter 18 verse 10 to 11. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters by the Hebrews Torah, Genesis chapter 1 verse 2. But in each a spirit being came down to earth. Also in Torah, God or the Lord came to planet earth with two angels to Abraham and ate food, flesh in fact. Genesis chapter 18. They ate meat of animals with this and so many others in human form. They used doves, Mark chapter 1 verse 10. Ass, calves, mules, strange flying animals to take them to heaven, as in the Quran, chapter 17 verse 1. Unicorns, Job chapter 39 verse 10. Dragons, Revelations chapter 13. Talking snakes, Genesis chapter 3 verse 1. Fishmen, 1 Samuel chapter 5 verse 2 to 7. Goatmen, Leviticus chapter 17 verse 7. So we see they believe that angels come in human form. Quran chapter 17 verse 85. Daniel chapter 8 verse 15 to 16. Revelations chapter 22 verse 8 to 9. And spiritual birds, human fish, giant fish, giants, Nephilims, Genesis chapter 6 verse 4. You can read this in their holy scriptures and books they use to explain their religions. Yet they will look at Egypt and say we are pagans, because they claim we Egyptians of old worship animals. Yet Moses and his people worship a brass serpent, snake. Check out Numbers chapter 21 verse 8 to 9 and John chapter 3 verse 14. Thus their own God trusted Egypt as a place of safety to live and stay for 430 years. Genesis chapter 46 verse 3. Exodus chapter 12 verse 40 to 41. And also sent to the Christians' own God in flesh, Jesus, Matthew chapter 2 verse 13 to 15, to Egypt to be safe. This also is to be found in their holy books, Exodus chapter 12 verse 40 to 41. Think their God, Allah, YHWH, Elohim, Rab, made a promise with their father, Ibrahim, Ibrahim, that's how you spell it, to give him a land flowing with milk and honey, in Exodus chapter 3 verse 8. And in Exodus chapter 3 verse 17, Exodus chapter 33 verse 3, Leviticus chapter 20 verse 24, Genesis chapter 12 verse 1 and 7, then Genesis chapter 12 verse 10, and Quran on Jesus, Isa, return, Quran chapter 43 verse 61, to look over them, protect them, a safe place. Now note this is all their knowing God. Now note this is all their knowing God. But he did not know the land of Canaan would have a famine. Genesis chapter 42 verse 3 to 5. Dry up and force the Israelites to have to move or die. He could not see that far when he made the promise to Abraham in Genesis chapter 17 verse 8. Then of all the planet Earth, why are they, or does he feel they are safe in pagan Egypt? Why is Egypt even in their books at all if we were such backward, confused pagans? He passed through Europe to go to Egypt. Look at Look at a map of his route. You know, all this, right? They say that Egyptians were backwards, are backwards, right? That, our descendants, right? And I'm talking pre-dynastic Egypt, before Egypt was called Egypt, right? Pre-dynastic Egypt, that we were backwards. Our ancestors were backwards, right? Because a lot of people think that Egypt don't belong in Africa, and that's not true. They try to make it so. Yes, they try to make it so, right? And it's just so, it's what it is. But it's like he's saying that Jesus was sent to Egypt to be safe, right? Because he was going to be killed. So if Egypt is so bad, and we're so backwards, and we're pagans, and we're this, and we're that, and why would you send Jesus to Egypt? Okay? Like, really, why? That's my question. Why would the all-knowing God, send Jesus to Egypt? All right, let's move on. Egyptians are never called evil in Hebrews' holy books. Their Jesus came from above in the form of a bird, dove, Matthew chapter 3, verse 16, Mark chapter 1, verse 10, John chapter 1, verse 32, into a human being, and he became Emmanuel, God with us, which means God with us, Matthew chapter 1, verse 23. With us, they claim. The Muslims claim he, Isa, ISA, or Al-Messiah, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, Messiah, will climb down a ladder onto a mosque when he returns from up there, or heaven, which is also Orion. Okay? Orion, Osiris. Think about that. The Muslims claim Isa, or al-Masih, will climb down a ladder onto a mosque when he returns from up there, or heaven, and the Caucasoid European Jews wait for a Masik. Forgive me, I can't pronounce that name. Mashiach. I want to say Mashiach, to come rule over them and set peace on earth, while they and the subrace of Palestine kill each other over the land of Canaan. In each they see some human being coming from above to earth with more power than earthlings, who can transform himself. Yet, when we Egyptians said our Yaanuwn Agdawas were symbolic of frogs and snakes of the deep who came out of the water, meaning the tadpole like sperm and the fetus like frog in the wet womb of a female, which came out on dry land as a human being onto land before coming an upright mortal, Homo sapien, or that Paa Nabab to the Enneads, personified and created man in their image. They say that never could have happened. Well, the fact is, they really believed the very same thing that we Egyptians knew. But the fact remains, and has been proven, that the Egyptians never needed them. They needed Egyptians. The Egyptian Daru, gods of nature, never sent Egyptians in need to them. It is the other way around. And who was first on planet Earth? The Egyptians, who are Africans in Africa first. These are proven facts whose records have been found. The Egyptians and in person who looks like you Negroids, your Egyptian ancestors, your own holy bloodline, DNA. And where is Egypt? In Africa. And what does that make true Egyptians? Africans. And who are the original Africans? Negroids, dark-skinned, woolly hair people, the first. Look on the walls of Egypt the same way you look at your grandparents' picture. It is the same. Now, right? The restoration of the drawings on the walls in the pyramids, over time, it has been proven that over time that they have lightened the images of the pharaohs and the queens, right? It's not extreme, but they have lightened it. And the really dark-skinned, darker than me, right, ones, they don't highlight, because you have to remember that Egypt was invaded, right? So a lot of times Egypt was invaded by the Hyksos. So when I hear like, oh, because you had some Europeans saying that their ancestors were Egyptians, and I can honestly say I can give them that, because if the Hyksos, which are not African, if they're not from Africa, they're not African. If their ancestors were, they're not African. That's what I'm saying. So the lighter skinned ones, especially the ones that invaded like Rome, and yeah, they can say that, oh, they can claim that because you had Cleopatra, right? And she had a child with Caesar, and his name was Cleophas, right? Which he was also mistaken as another Jesus. And if anybody, you're free to correct me. You're free to piggyback on what I'm saying. I have no problem with that, because like I said in the beginning, I am a student teacher of the master teacher and Yaanuwn. And we're here to help people break their own spell, right? From what I'm reading here, the 9 reasons to be Sabaean and not them. Right? Some of you asking, well, who's not them? Not them is anybody who enforces the spell of ignorance. Anybody who enforces lies and untruths. That's not them. That's not them. That's what we're saying. We're here. We're Sabaean. We're Nubians, and we're here to enforce the truth. We're here to give the actual facts. And that's just what it is. Some people, they duck when the truth is thrown at them. That's your choice. You want to duck when the truth is thrown at you? That's up to you. Okay? So it's not my soul, it's yours. It's not my life, it's yours. It's not my path, it's yours. You choose. All right? So I'm going to continue on. Eight, the evidence of greatness and miracles. All you have to do is look at Africa and Africans, the great empire we built. Look at Timbuktu in Mali. Look at Egypt, Sudan, and South Africa. Look at our records, our arts, the first to write a script, the first doctors in their holy books. They claim one of their prophets cast his rod to the ground, and his Lord God turned the wooden stick into a living snake. You can check that out in Exodus chapter 7, verse 9 to 10. Now the ruler of Egypt, a man, Per-Re'ah, Satuk, Pa-Wahan, Pharaoh, Seti I, called his Hanuntu, priests, and they could do the same thing that the Israelite, Hebrew, Muslims, Yahweh, Allah, God, or Adonai, Rab, Lord, did for the prophet. Moses, Musa, did not do the miracles his God, YHWH, Theos. Allah did it for him. But Re did not do it for the Egyptian priests. They did it themselves from their own earthly knowledge. So in fact, who is the Hebrews' gods? The Egyptians. Write in their books Isaiah chapter 19 verse 25, Hosea chapter 12 verse 9, Hosea chapter 13 verse 4. The Hebrew does not say who brought you out of Egypt. It says their very God, Lord, is from Egypt himself. What was the name of Amun-Re or Amun? Amen. The Amen. Revelation chapter 3 verse 14. They still use his name at the end of their prayer today. Amen. So, we Egyptians already knew how it was done, making us equal as mere mortal men in powers to their spirit God, Lord. So, who in fact is greatness and who is performing miracles as human beings? The Egyptians, the Africans called Negroids. Verse 9. The God who doesn't know and lies. In their holy books, their God asks questions like, "Where art thou?" in Genesis chapter 3 verse 9, as Adam hides from him as he walks on earth in the garden. And who told thee that thou wast naked? In Genesis chapter 3 verse 11. And so many other times this God did not know all things. Also, he told Adam a lie. He said, For in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die. Genesis chapter 3 verse 6, Adam and Eve both ate of it, but they did not die that day. That was a lie. Then does this God have fear? Yes, he did. Yes, he does. Behold, the man is become as one of us to know good and evil, and no less he put forth his hand and take also of the tree of life, and eat and live forever. Genesis chapter 3 verse 22. So yes, he feared this man, Adam, who had become a god, Elohim, like him. Just as Moses did, Exodus chapter 7 verse 1. And the Lord said unto Moses, See, I have made thee a god to the Pharaoh, and Aaron thy brother shall be thy prophet. In conclusion, you can leave your questions about the introduction of Genetic Kiss, 9 reasons to be Nubian or Sabaean and not them. And we will try to answer the questions to the best of our ability. When I say we, myself and other student teachers. It's one thing within our tribe is that we always bounce off each other. I might know something that somebody else don't know, or they might know something that I don't know, and there's no ego in it. It's just we're learning from each other, because that's why we're called student teachers. You never stop learning. We continually learn. Even though you might have a knowledge of a few books, a few actual facts, we still keep learning, right? And we don't just, we do our research. We research other books as well to bring about facts and truths and not fictions, lies, fairy tales, made up stories. At the end of this video, you will have the information you need to send your comments, and to also where excuse me, and also where you can pick up this book. Okay. We also have other books available for you all to purchase and get knowledge, because knowledge is power, right? Nobody can take away your knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could lose your hair, you could lose your leg, you could lose your arm, you could lose your hands, you could lose money, you know what I'm saying? You can lose materialistic things, but you can never lose what you know, right? And that's the honest truth. So it's because, you know, myself and my brothers and sisters of Wu Sabat, some call us Nuwabians, we call ourselves Sabaeans as well. So we're here to help those that might have a lot of questions about different areas of things in life that maybe nobody else is able to answer. You know, if you're looking and you're searching for true overstanding and understanding of, you know, life, the world, and spirituality, because it's all about spirituality. It's like, you know, when somebody is searching for the truth of life, why this, why that, you know, you ask the question, why did that come, why am I here, this, that, and the third, or why is this way, or I noticed this, that, and the third, and I just find it odd, you know, I find it weird, I find it funny, or I've experienced this, or I've experienced that when it comes to spirituality, or I've dreamed this, or you know, I had this person come to me in dream state. We're open to ask all questions, and if we can't answer your questions, we are dedicated to finding the answer. We don't make up answers to your questions. If we cannot answer them, we will let you know. We cannot answer that. You know what I'm saying? Some things is your ancestors telling you, and only you can receive from your direct link, your ancestors. But with that being said, I'm gonna let you guys go, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you've learned from it. And like I said before, it's not meant to disrespect anybody's religion, be it, it's just facts, you know, and that's just what it is. All right, wadu, which means goodbye.